Content provided by our bloggers or authors are of their opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, municipality, individual, or anyone or anything.
He's a surgeon. He's a 100-ton boat captain. He's a lieutenant on Seaside Heights Beach Patrol in New Jersey. He's a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. He's Dr. Michael Kachmar. Need answers to your medical questions? We have them. Listen in to hear latest on medical topics related to all that and more.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Kachmar. Welcome to Scrubbing Up with Dr. Michael Kachmar. Today's date is February 27th, the year of our Lord 2024 AD.
That's right.
And I'm here. I'm a physician, podiatric physician, board-certified reconstructive surgeon. I work at multiple hospitals. We have Jeremy here. Jeremy, you want to say hello?
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
So Jeremy's here, and he's my sidekick. And we do the show every week. We've been doing this for many, many, many years. And we've been beginning. We took a hiatus because I had some surgery on my arm. I have it in a sling right now. But we're back on to the swing of things. So it's basically, this is a medical show, but we get into the political aspects of medicine, and we try to be informative. We're on all of the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble we're actually on, but YouTube is the big one. Anyway, so we have a couple things we want to talk about today, Jeremy, and so we get a little, this is our studio, just give you a picture of what we have here. So say hello, Jeremy, to the audience there. Anyway, what we have several topics today. One is we're gonna talk about this Chicago. It was an interesting thing that happened in Chicago. There, I gotta get my tea here. They're getting rid of the officers in the schools that protect the students. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk a little bit about euthanasia in the United States.
Did you have anything like that in your school?
Cops?
Yeah.
No, there was no need for it. Never.
Not mine either. It wasn't until after our class graduated that they started putting in police officers.
No, we never had it. So let's set this up. So in New Jersey, I don't think there's any school that does not have police in the schools. Now, that's high schools, grammar schools, elementary schools. I don't know about the colleges. One thing I got to say about this governor,
they would have their own security, wouldn't they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good question. But having said that, county college, Ocean County College, it's still it's a governmental college. But I have to give credit where credit's due. New Jersey is on this topic. I think we're pretty good in New Jersey, and we always bash the governor, but I got to give him and the state of New Jersey congratulations on this. So anyway, let's see what's. But here's the thing: in Chicago, they've taken a different tack on this. So let's go to the iPad for me, Jeremy. So here's an article, and this is out of Fox News. Some people may not like it, but it's here, and it's an article, and basically says Chicago mom decries school board's vote to remove uniformed officers from schools. She's disappointed and saddened, and they're saying a lot of people are not on board with this. And if you read this article here, which is pretty interesting, a Chicago mother expressed her frustrations over the Board of Education vote to remove uniformed police officers from schools in the Windy City, warning not all families are on board with the decision. And this one woman, she has 3 kids, or 3 kids out of 6. And she's not happy. I've never realized one important word that comes to mind, and that is choice. This word in particular has been under attack. I constantly say my prayers as I drop off my children, and it's very disappointing. And it's unfortunate because not everyone is in agreement with the results. We need our police officers to have that bond, that special bond with our students and our staff. Oral community, she added, saying that many students feel safe knowing the officers are in the building. So here's what happened. So this is liberal Chicago mayor claims the Chicago Board of Education voted Thursday to remove uniformed police officers from 39 out of the 634 school districts in nearly 8-hour-long meeting. So not all the schools.
Right.
And, so you wonder why. Critics of the decision have argued that losing uniformed officers will have a great impact on public safety in neighborhoods that already struggle with violence. Supporters of the decision cite race-based concerns, arguing that minorities are often targeted and the schools are not safe with the officers' presence. Now, let me just, how is the police officers in a school not safe? Do you read that? I mean, I don't understand. How do you, we lose 3 Chicago police school students a week apart with this violence. What about our South and West Side schools where there's not so much crime? And it goes on here, said that the board has taken the opportunity away from smaller local districts in the city to decide on keeping officers in school. Yeah, so it's funny. I mean, this is an argument going on here, and you could go into the racial thing, the local.
Look at that.
What?
Now they're not allowing us and giving us the power as parents and teachers and principals to decide what schools truly need.
Right. So there's 2 issues that are going on here. I just want to look people here because on our podcast you can't see it, but basically they're pulling a certain amount of teachers out of the school. So go back to me, Jeremy, please. Yeah. And this sets up, and the parents are concerned because they don't have the say in it. This is going across the whole United States. So there's 2 issues here. Okay, one is gun violence, and especially in the schools.
Yeah.
You could talk about getting rid of the guns. You could talk about mental health, but I can tell you right now, the immediate answer to this problem is put police officers, armed and trained police officers in the schools. Yeah. Period. You could argue everything. There's no reason, none, to not have in a school. You don't have enough money, then get more money. You can spend money on all other crap, then, put the students, put the police in there. Absolutely no excuse. That's number one. A good guy gets rid of a bad guy with a gun. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are not going to go into, a lot of these crazies are not going to go into a school when there's a police car out front and there's an armed police officer inside the school.
Right.
Okay, and have them armed. Have them armed with not only a handgun, but an AR-15. The police officer.
Yeah.
A tactical, police officer. Now, the second thing here, which is pervasive across the whole United States, is who has the rights to deal with these the school children. Does the parents have the right or the state? In New Jersey, there was a board meeting where the lawyer for one of these local municipalities, I think it was in Monmouth County or maybe a little bit, maybe further up, told a parent, the only right you have with regard to what's taught in our schools and what our policies are, this is a lawyer for the borough, said basically you have the right to move your child to another school, but we run the whole show. So in New Jersey, now again, is it black and white? No, I'm very sure there's different degrees, but this is a discussion that is going to come up in the next election in this state for the governor for sure, and school board and all that. Where does the parents' rights come in, and the state of New Jersey's rights or state come in, and the students' rights? I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but let's just say you have a student who's pregnant, 12-year-old girl, she's pregnant. She goes to the counselor in school. Counselor says, what do you want to do? Says, I want an abortion. State of New Jersey allows it. 12-year-old girl. She doesn't need parents' consent. They don't even tell the parents. They make the arrangements. The state of New Jersey pays for it. She has an abortion. Now, should the parents be notified? And should the parents, so there's, again, should the parents be notified? And should the parents have a decision in whether or not she gets an abortion? Let's make another scenario. Okay, so should that child be able to make the decision for an abortion at 12 years old on her own?
No.
Okay, well, some people say yes. Now, but in state of New Jersey, it's law. You can. She can consent to herself. 13, 14, she can consent to herself. Definitely 15, 16. Now, I'm almost positive you don't need a parent's consent. Now, let's go, if I'm wrong, people could tell me. Let's go back to, should the parents be able to, in an abortion situation, forget about school, whether or not to say she could have an abortion or not? That's another issue. Don't want to get into that. But should the parent, if the school knows about it, should the parent be should the parent be advised and contacted? Well, state of New Jersey, people say no. A lot of people are saying no. The parents don't have nothing to do with it. Now, let's make another scenario.
What's their reasoning for
Well,
that?
let me make. Hang on.
Yeah.
Well, she could have been raped by the uncle or the father.
That's extenuating circumstances.
That's what they use as their argument.
Yeah,
They don't want to let the
that's
family know.
Extenuating circumstances.
Okay, but
and that's a given for most people when
Okay.
when they're arguing this point.
okay.
You know,
Right.
they'll say, well, you know, I believe the one way, but if
Okay.
there was rape, if there was
Right.
incest,
Okay. So let me give you another scenario. Let's say the girl, again, she's pregnant. You know, this is the premise, and she wants to have the baby.
right?
Okay. Well, obviously, the parents are going to have to know about it eventually.
Sure.
Now, should the school tell the parents? Maybe they won't. They'll say, "Listen, you got to tell the parents." Now, the parents, 12-year-old girl comes in, says, "You know, I don't know. You know, I'm dating some 50-year-old guy, and he got me pregnant." Now, in New Jersey, that's a statutory rape, by the way. You have to be 16 or older, but 16 is the age of consent. So now the girl wants to have an abortion. Wants to have the baby. Can the parents force an abortion? Think about that one. That's a brain tweezer for you. Or should the parents have any say in the matter?
Well, I mean, we're skipping over a lot of stuff to get to the point where these parents are going to force anything. Like they're going to want to talk to their daughter, get her counseling.
They do all of that. They do all of that. Okay, they do it. I'd say that's all done. The premise is she wants to have the baby.
At the end of the day, they're responsible. They're going to have to make the call.
Yeah, but can they force a child or anybody to have an abortion?
You just said it yourself. What's the age of consent? What does that even mean?
Yeah, well, okay. So let's
that's
take it.
A law.
Okay.
The age of consent.
Right.
Is when you're
Right.
you know. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you one more. Just add because I want to get back to the police in the schools.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So let's just say the child goes to the counselor and says that they have gender dysphoria. They don't know if they're a boy or a girl. Okay.
Okay.
So now the counselor sends them for some treatment or some counseling, and say the child's 15, 16 years old, and the child wants to have gender affirming treatment, and it could be beta blockers or psych therapy. Should the parents be informed of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Some people say no.
Anything that's going to happen
can
with
the
your child,
now,
they
okay.
need to be known.
Now, can the parents say no? I don't want my child
Yes.
being taught that. You say they.
Taught that?
No, say. Can the parents consent or non-consent? Say no. I don't want my child getting puberty blockers.
Yeah.
I don't want my child.
Totally.
Okay.
100%.
And say and surgery, all of that.
100%.
Okay. So there's the big. But just so you know, in the state of New Jersey, there's a big debate going on of where that lies.
And I didn't come to that lightly. This is a lot of shows with you and I talking about this kind of thing, and me mulling it over in my mind.
Well,
but now, no, I mean it's the same reason why there's a drinking age, and then there's an age where you can drive, and there's an age to, if you're too young to do this, and this. Then you're too young to do.
Okay, but what if a lot of people, even a majority, say that it's beneficial for the child to have these treatments?
But it's not. The science
Okay, so let me give you another scenario.
against it.
I'll give you a real life scenario that I had.
And like Fauci says, we have to follow the science.
I want to give you. So I'll give you a real life scenario, just to throw me the fly into the ointment.
Right.
So I'm doing my residency training at a hospital in South Jersey, and there was a horrific car accident. And they bring in the people, and one of them is a child, has a tremendous amount of bleeding, lost a lot of blood, needs a transfusion. Of course, the parents were notified, and the parents said no transfusion. They were Jehovah's Witness.
Christian Science.
I think they were Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
This is back in the 80s, and it was my belief. I guess it was everybody's belief that the child would die or would not have. They needed a transfusion. Parents said no. So now, in that situation, us as professionals felt it was in the child's best interest to have the transfusion. Child has rights too, right? A child has rights under the 14th Amendment.
That's assuming what's right and what's wrong.
Well, okay, I'm just telling you, you have a bunch of doctors who are highly trained, and we say the transfusion is necessary.
And you're right from a specific point of view.
But if the child don't get the transfusion, he dies. And that's the parent's wish. So I'm just telling you what happened in real life. When you're there and you have to make the decision, and the poor child's looking at you, he's tell you, help me. So what do you have to hear? What is this here? Just some advertising. So anyway, what happened, Jeremy? What happened is this. Just so you know, we got a court order. We got a judge. That's just bullshit. That's just So we have a judge that came in. We went to the court, did it real quick, like took a half hour, and a judge gave us the ability to give the child transfusion.
Really?
Yeah. So I think in this situation here, where we're talking about, these situations, let the courts decide. Bring it to a court.
Yeah, but see what happened there that is very specific is that it was taken at a case by case situation.
Right, and I think that's how it should be here.
It should be, definitely.
Yeah. I don't think there should be. I think that the parents should be contacted in all and any matters dealing with the child, any and all, any and all. And then
I like to hear you say that.
Any and all, you like that?
Yeah.
And then you like to say, and then the next thing is that the whether or not they get treatment, whether or not they have an abortion, whether or not they get gender affirming treatment, needs to be like you said, counseling. Parents have to be involved. They go back and forth, and then if the parties cannot come to an agreement, if the child and the parents can't come to an agreement, then it's time to bring in the court.
Yeah.
That's why we have judges. What was the one where, two women said there was the same baby and they brought it to the judge and he says, I'll cut the baby in half. And the one woman was like, go ahead. And then the other one's like, no. And that's, he said, well, that's your baby. My point is that's where it needs to go. All right, so let's just get back.
I mean, the other woman was mental, wanting half a baby. Are you kidding?
Let's just go back to this because I want to finish this because, there's school shootings and all the guns and everything. People are crazy. Just go back to my iPad here because I want to make a point here. Is that so it's not all the schools in Chicago, and I don't know whether it's politics or money, but this ad here, and I mean this headline here. So again, Chicago mom decries school board's vote to remove uniformed officers from the school. She's disappointed and saddened. So you could get at it. So it's happening. So now you can't with guns and violence in the schools. You need to have a zero tolerance. Obviously, no guns are allowed in school, but you need to have police all over the place.
Does it bother you, to talk about this stuff? And does it bother you that we need to talk about the rights of parents and all of that, or I mean, because once upon a time, this used to be a no-brainer. A non sequitur. It was. Of course, the parents need to know, and the kids, and you know what? Once more, the kids knew who was responsible for them as well. Right. I think that's a little lacking today.
Well, what cracks me up is that a lot of people who are very progressive, globalist, democratic socialists in this country, want these children to have the right to, decide at 12 or 13 or 14 if they should have gender affirming surgery. But if you go back further, before they're born in the womb, they could give two shits. They could be, euthanized at 8-9 months, which is pretty interesting. In fact, a lot of states now in New Jersey, which is our next topic, is assisted suicide. And this is, they call it assisted dying, but to me it's assisted suicide.
Which makes you, again, I know they're two different things, right?
Yeah.
But the one question is who's, are the parents, should the parents be responsible or should the state? Well, the state is also talking about this other stuff about euthanizing people.
Yeah.
and all of that. So should the state be responsible for all of this stuff? That's the big question.
Jeremy, we talk about the bigger picture here, and we're going to talk about this
because the state is so far removed from humanity.
Right.
It's terrifying.
Right. Well, when you say the state too, we talk about the government. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a big right now in this world. You have basically, in my opinion, you have the globalists. You have people who believe in, one government, one, planet.
Yeah.
And like, good example, the UN, they believe in migration as a human right. So they're happy, and they're facilitating this open border. They want everybody, they believe it's a human right. They don't believe in God. There's no, you gotta understand something. If you look at the progressive globalists, there's no God. There's no, it's only what rights we give you. And they want this, let everybody move around, mass immigration. Of course, they're going to live in their protected areas.
You said that. We were talking about that, and we were listening to something, too, before the show about the migration as a human right.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, well, isn't
sovereignty is a human right. I have a human right to be sovereign and have borders. Here's the thing. Why, if that's the case, then why don't all these, when they sent the migrants up to Martha's Vineyard, they threw them out of there so damn fast, Barack Obama could have put them all in his house.
See, that was my point. That was my point.
You don't want them there. I don't,
right. But isn't the right to own land...
that's 14th Amendment. That was, first of all, that was in the
with that
Declaration of Independence.
With that right, don't those writers, owners have rights themselves?
Yes,
on their lands.
Yes.
So migration, people traveling across land and stuff like that. Is it any different from somebody's farm to somebody's state or country?
Well, traveling through it and stealing is two different things. But I understand your concept. No, here's the bottom line is, I just want to make a point.
Do you see my point, though?
No, I don't.
You don't see my point at all?
People walking across your property?
Yeah, but I have rights. I could say get off my property.
Yeah,
so
it's
the same thing. It's the same thing with
you mean the whole country trespassing?
State and country. Why?
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Different.
Right. Okay, now I understand. Yes, I do understand.
If property owners have rights...
Right. We own the United States.
Right.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Well, there's a whole... You get into a bigger issue, but I just want to make a point about, this... rights and where we're going and globalism. Right. So let's go back. Let's change the subject now. I want to talk about this. Okay. It's very important. This is medicine. Canada has one of the most progressive euthanasia. I don't care what they say it's assisted dying. It's assisted suicide. It's euthanasia. Yeah. Do me a favor and go to the my iPad.
Alrighty.
Now, I want to make a couple of things. This is an article.
Well, that picture makes it look so tender.
Right. So Canada has one of the highest rates of euthanasia in the world, with 41% of deaths aided by doctors, but moves to make it more. For 41 deaths aided by doctors, but moves to make it more accessible are being questioned. They want to make it into mental illness. So in Canada, there's no secret. The Canadian medical system sucks. It's not the greatest. People come to the United States. So, if you got cancer and maybe you got a year to live, right? And it could be rough and it's going to be very expensive. They offer you euthanasia. Say, hey, save money, and go. So it says, when Canadian's Justice Minister announced plans to legislate medically assisted dying nearly a decade ago, she acknowledged the proposed law might prove divisive. For some, medical assisted in dying will be troubling, and this is one of these. For others, the legislation will not go far enough. And so here it is. This is medical assisted in dying laws. It's called MAID. M-A-I-D. Doesn't it sound nice? MAID. Oh. Medical assisted in dying laws.
Why we always have
crafted
to
in
make
response to the Supreme Court.
It?
Right. Basically, who else had? So it's euthanasia. You know who had the Department of Euthanasia? Hitler.
Mm.
Now, the Nazis started way before they started killing the Jews. What they did is, if you were old, they got rid of you. They had the Department of Euthanasia. If you were young and you had a very bad accident, fell down, and back then the surgeries weren't that great. Oh, they get rid of you. They had hospitals. And then, of course,
mental illness.
When Hitler started to become more powerful, they started going after the gays, the Jews. Well, not the Jews. They were the last, but probably the gypsies. And if you look at what they did with the Jews, that was run by and orchestrated by the Department of Euthanasia, which was medicine, was science. And they actually, if you go read the literature, they'll say, well, listen, we determined that the Jews are a subclass, and
Dr. Mengele.
And then when they rolled into a concentration camp, they had doctors there. You're staying, you're going, and they did experiments on these people. It's horrible. Very, that's why I look at the stuff that's going now in the United States, with, went on with this coronavirus and all this happy shit. And our good friend there, I don't, can I use his name or I'll get in trouble? Yeah.
Or Fauci.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
And I remember that guy with ATZ. Go look that up. And I don't want to get into,
Oh, the AIDS drug.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, so what they want to do, so let's just go here. So now it's called, and this is in Canada, and it's also in the United States now. We're going to talk about that. So here you go. So initially permitted only terminally ill Canadians to be eligible for the procedure, but in 2019, 2019, a Quebec judge ruled that restricting access to those who had a reasonable foreseeable death was unconstitutional, restricting it, forcing federal lawmakers to amend and expand the laws. So you have a reasonably foreseeable death. Jeremy, you have a reasonable and foreseeable death. So do I.
Sure.
All right? I'm not going to live to 100, maybe 120. We're all. When you're born, I could take a 10-year-old kid. They have in my opinion, a reasonable foreseeable death. Probably when they're 80, right? 75, 80.
I don't think I'm going to die.
You're going to die eventually.
No.
Okay.
I got plans.
All right. So, but here's the thing. In Canada, you're fine, man. They'll give you a card. So in the years since, Canada's experiment in physician-assisted death, which is assisted suicide in mind, has made international headlines, including a feature article in Atlantic Magazine. Now, Atlantic Magazine, just so you know, is for the young elites in this country, the progressives. That's their paper of what they all go to. Yeah, if you read stuff in there, I mean, that'll get you. I'll tell you what, the Atlantic Magazine, man, that ain't the way I want to live. But anyway, sometimes they come out with good stuff. So let me see. So here it says, the UN human rights experts cautioned that an expansion to the law which permits people with chronic conditions to apply for assisted death would create a two-tier system and push people with disabilities towards suicide. So the government shows that 13,102 people ended their lives under MAID in 2022, an increase of 30%. And let me see, go here. I want to say, so it goes on and on and on and on here. And so again, Canada has one of the highest rates. They're knocking people off over there. I don't know if I want to go. Here's the bottom line. Don't go retire in Canada.
No.
Because, you get a sniffle, you get a cold, you get.
Yeah, but I mean, what they're showing here is you don't have to be a senior. You could be 18.
No.
I mean, just don't go to Canada.
No.
Unless I guess you're a Canadian and you know how to. I know so many Canadians. I wonder, you have friends in Canada, right?
Yeah, I was just up there. I was in Nova Scotia.
So what do they think about their prime minister?
They hate him.
They hate him.
They think, I'll tell you what, go back to me.
Is that is that a going consensus among their neighbors and their friends there? I'd really like to know what Canadians think about
listen,
Trudeau.
I don't follow the politics up there.
Yeah.
I think they're very liberal. They're terrible with the gun laws. You can't have a gun, and I think their medicine is terrible. They go to to the United States, and this euthanasia is definitely terrible. But when I was there, these people told me that they don't like him, and they think, I don't know, they think he's some kind of relative of Castro. I don't know. It was this whole crazy thing. I mean, they were showing me pictures and everything.
You see a picture of him side by side with Castro?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're the same damn guy.
Listen, they voted. Listen, it cracks me up. If they don't want him, then vote him out. There's a lot of liberals up there. You got to remember, there's two types. Again, I'm not an expert with Canada, but you got the French and you got the English, and so you have different. You got Catholic, Protestant. It's always been crazy up there. Yeah. They were the ones who left the United States. They didn't want to leave the crown. So Canada. But tell you what, Canada is a beautiful country, and they have a tremendous amount of resources.
Yes, they do.
And when I was up in Nova Scotia, I was told that all the electricity for Nova Scotia is made by a nuclear power plant.
Huh. So
I don't know. There's rhetoric. Again, I just wanted to make a point about this euthanasia. So let's just on that theme, let me come over here and show you here. So this is now an article, February 24, 2024. This is Illinois should not. This is an article, and this is I don't know who this is by. So it says here, Illinois, maybe the Chicago Times. Illinois, yeah, the Chicago Times. Right, the Chicago Sun-Times. Illinois should not legalize physician-assisted suicide. That's too much potential for abuse. Now they're calling it suicide, see? And this is Illinois. Now just let me make a point. New Jersey, supposedly they passed and it's legal. I'm trying to work on that. But let me just go here. On July 26, 1990, this is actually President George Bush, H.W., signed the Americans with Disability Act. And it was historical. That was, an interesting, And so, and those with disabilities are facing a single battle and defeat the growing movement that wants to make physicians legal in Illinois. That fight is one. That goal is literally to save lives. So anyway, because these people with disability, maybe you get rid of them. And so here, the proponents of physician-assisted suicide call it medical aid in dying and say that the practice is humane and compassionate and relieves the person from pain. That makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. They say doctor-assisted suicide is what the disabled person, anyone with 6 months prognosis and thus eligible for physician-assisted suicide, are disabled by definition of the ADA, wants, that the doctor is simply fulfilling last wish for the patient. Another argument from proponents is that doctor-assisted suicide will be strictly regulated. They say assisted suicide providers empower people who are of sound mind but who have terminal illness with options of controlling their death. But opponents argue that assisted suicide is full of avenues for abuse, coercion, and harm. The overwhelming majority of people who have been helped to die by doctors have various disabilities. For instance, most of them using physician-assisted suicide have cancer, which is listed as a disability. So let's just talk one thing in here, because it can get abused. Listen, I've dealt with patients who are dying, and doctors used to, not me, but when I would do my training, they put them on a morphine drip and kill them. But you never know. I mean, I've seen people who would look like they were going to be dead, and they lasted 2-3 years. And you can say, well, it's up to the patient. But yeah, what happens if the kids, their old dad has a $3 million life policy, and you want to knock them off, and you say, well, and you talk them into it. But here's an opinion: a 67-year-old woman with a significant disability. I have been a vocal opponent of doctor-assisted suicide for decades. I cannot help but question whether the people who have been helped to end their lives in the states where the practice is now legal had adequate access to numerous services available to them to make life easier. Follow me so far? Right. Services such as peer support, personal assistance services, home modification programs, like ramps and stuff like that, living skill enhancement, or hospice and palliative care. Did their health insurance meet their needs? Was health insurance even available to them? Did relatives, friends, and doctors give subtle or overt clues that ending their lives would be much better for everybody except them? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and this is a real thing. Canada, in my opinion, why is Canada pushing euthanasia or assisted suicide so much? Their medical system is crashing and burning. They don't have enough doctors. UK is the same way. UK, the doctors are going on strike. Your parents are there. Yeah. I mean, a doctor in UK makes between $60,000 and $80,000 US dollars. That ain't dropping a bucket for these guys and gals, what they do. And they're striking right now. I mean, they're going down the tubes. They're socialized medicine, and that whole country is going down the tubes. I hate this. I'm sorry to say. Hopefully, they can pull it out. But now, so now you have a state like New Jersey. I don't think the insurances are paying for it. But think about this, now it's a covered item. I'll step back and say abortion. One of the things that where abortion is it's a procedure, a D&C. Doctors made money, facilities made money, gender affirming treatment. United Healthcare in New Jersey, they have 15 procedures that they'll pay for. People are making money. Assisted suicide, somebody's making money, they're getting paid, Now maybe the government is actually, in Canada, it's socialized medicine. So if you don't have that person, you don't have to spend the money on cancer treatment, removing part of their lung, chemotherapy. Right. So you talk them into it. You see how it works? No, I get it. Now I understand if you're suffering and everything, there is hospice, you can knock somebody out, but how about, about a day or two before you're going to die, we'll give you the juice. It's done anyway.
So I think.
You see what I'm saying, Jeremy? How dangerous it is. But this is a big push. Again, getting back to Nazi Germany, it's the same. If you go back and look at their paperwork, look at their origins of euthanasia, it was the same thing. Listen, we got these poor old people. They're suffering. We're gonna get a department of euthanasia. Take care of them humanely.
See, that's where it starts, and I agree.
Right, it starts there. Go back to me, Jeremy, please.
Is with seniors, people who are sick. cancer patients that are suffering.
What about children who get a really bad car accident, or say a farming accident, their leg is hanging off? Yeah, hey, listen, tell the parents, listen, we'll put her out.
Yeah, your head's caved in. There's no quality of life.
Well, there is. There may be. No, you could listen. She's going to lose her leg.
I'm telling you my point in this whole euthanasia thing. Okay, that's where it starts, I think. And these people, should we pull the plug on Grandpa? That kind of thing. But he's suffering. Yeah. Okay. That's where the conversation starts. Okay. But they're abusing.
You know where it ends?
It ends with
in Auschwitz, where they're putting
exactly,
where they're knocking off Jews by the millions, and selling their teeth to the friggin' and what scares the shit out of me is that it goes on subtle, and you rationalize one after the other, and it's happening in the United States, and it's also not just euthanasia, but it's experimenting with people with drugs, medication. Yeah. So there was a point I was going to make, but
we're both religious, okay?
Yeah.
So here's my question: if suicide is a sin, okay?
Well, you're not killing yourself; they're killing you.
No, but that's my point, though. You're will. I mean, now we're going down to like. If you stand in the way of a passing car purposely,
that's suicide.
You've just committed suicide. The car didn't accidentally hit you.
No.
Yeah, my point is now, if suicide is a sin, is the man who is assisting your suicide, what kind of weight is his soul going to get from this?
Yeah. I don't know, Jim. To me, I don't even think you need to even talk about whether or not it's sinful or not, because here's the way I look at it. That doesn't matter to me, because I could give the argument. We're not even going down the religious aspect of it, because if you use that argument solely as the only argument, then if you don't believe in God, then it's like okay. It's not.
No, this is just
no.
a different point of view.
No. But I tell you what, most doctors. Almost all the doctors in the United States that I know of will not assist in a execution of a prisoner in a state prison or federal prison. They won't do it. Now, the last guy they knocked off, they gave him gas. They gave him some kind of nitrous. It was fucking crazy. But an anesthesiologist could kill you in 2 seconds, with the right drugs. I mean, it's easy. It's not hard. Yeah. And but they don't do it because they think it's wrong. Now, you could, you start just like free speech. What's free speech? What's considered bad speech or disinformation or hate speech? It's subjective. Just like when is somebody going to die? I don't think most doctors could tell you when you're going to die. 6 months, 3 months, 4 months. But what's happening in Canada is it started with the sick and infirmed. And now it's going to the mentally ill. They want to do the mentally ill. They're pushing it.
See, that's what
so
I was
you could
saying,
be 22, and they do this in Europe. Now, the girl
starts with the sick and infirm, and then they abuse it.
Right. I think you have a 28-year-old say girl who's schizophrenic. And they want.
What'd she look like?
I don't know, but they put there was one in Europe that she ended her life with euthanasia. You got to remember, this has been going on in Europe for a long time. They used to call it. There's a lot of good articles. It's called the suicide traveler or vacation. So you go over to Europe and to take a vacation, but it's
just a magazine.
No, it was the
suicide traveler.
Yeah, and you go over there for a holiday basically and kill yourself. Jesus. The tourism, suicide tourism, and it happens.
Were there no bridges where they live, or
So the United States is dealing with this. I could tell you, I remember when abortion, if you go back and look at abortion, very similar situation. Abortion was started for a lot of different reasons. It was always back alley, abortions.
Yeah.
And it was being done, and people got it done, and it was kind of like a cottage industry. You didn't want to have the baby for a lot of different reasons. But in the 70s, I think it was the woman who developed Planned Parenthood. And there's a lot of controversy.
We talked about her.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, what I read is that they did it to get rid of, like the blacks, the gay people you don't want, and you could abort them before that. How you would know that? I mean, I don't know. I guess whatever they did, and then
here's a piece of work, right?
and I remember back, in the '80s, there was a whole thing about. There's a book. It was called Freakonomics, and they talked about abortion. And there was an allegation that it was done because they wanted to control the black population. I don't know. I mean, I'm not that smart. I didn't research it, but abortion, again, was a way. It's sort of like a euthanasia. It really is, but before the baby was born. Okay, and so you took it to the next step. So you have the old people you knock off. If you got mentally ill or a baby who's born deformed or whatever, you knock them off. So now you abort them. Abortion is maybe, from an aesthetic standpoint, more, I don't want to say humane. I can't use that word. But I understand where it comes from. Back in the day, there was no ultrasound. There was no way to test. You don't know what the baby was going to look like. And there was a lot of babies who were born with severe deformities,
Babies?
And they would take them from the parents and they put them in these institutions. And these institutions just were, hellholes. And it was, the misery and everything. So in that situation now, if you get a DNA test and ultrasound, the baby's severely deformed, I'm all for an abortion. It's a DNC. If you get it early enough within 15, because it's bad. Parents want, but a lot of these babies are not going to live anyway. But if they do, so my point is that you have, there is levels. But getting back to this, euthanasia, there's a creep. There's always a creep. What happened with abortion, right? It was maybe it was a good idea in the beginning, and now there's people who have 3-4 abortions. Maybe they're using it as a contraceptive. I've seen that when I did, my hospital, rotations. So, it's all about how you affect it. Euthanasia or assisted suicide has potentials for abusement. I don't know if you can contain it. I don't know, how you could set up a safeguard over it. I think, again, what we just talked about, let's get at the conclusion here. This is my opinion. You want Dr. Kachmar's opinion. I think it should be individual basis, and it's doctor-patient, and we do have hospice. And if dear old mom or dear old dad, they're on their way out, they got a couple days to live. Make them comfortable. You could give them enough morphine and just drip them out. There's no reason there shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
And but a 22-year-old who's got schizophrenia, or somebody who's in a wheelchair and has a hard time, getting up and down the stairs, and nobody's going to help them, give them a wheelchair ramp or something like that, but the government will kill them. That's not right. We can't do better than that. You see what I'm saying, Jeremy?
Yeah.
So when it comes down to dollars and cents, I think Germany, a lot of with the Nazis, I think it had a lot to do with dollars and cents. I think it had to do with money, save time. And that's where when you have that's when you have a government who is running the show. There was no sovereignty. Same thing in other countries. That's why, like with Mao, millions and millions of people starved to death in a cultural revolution, which I think we're having something like that in this country. Once you lose your rights, and the government's going to tell you what to do, that's not good. And that's why it all comes together with this, migration and medicine, and who has the rights and what can you do. It gets really complex, but you have to have certain foundation. In my opinion, God gives every one of us the right to live, the right to have liberty, pursuit of happiness, own property. I think that's a fundamental right given by our Creator, and that means you're sovereign. So we are the ones who have the power, not the government, not even the state. People say, "Oh, you're talking anarchy." No, we give the power. We understand the state and the government, have run the show, but it should go all back to the people. And once you take that away, once the state of New Jersey or the federal government says, "We're going to tell you what to do with your kids," or "We're going to tell you where to go," or what medicine.
When they take it away, because they do take it away.
Well, okay. So you see what I'm saying? So it all boils down to
We always talk about this stuff like it's going to happen, or but it's already happening.
Yeah, I know you're
out there.
Yeah, I understand. So I have how much time? Let me. Can you go? Just put the sticker out. I want to see how time. Oh, good. So this one here. So we're going to talk about this last one. This is don't go to the thing yet. Don't put it on yet. I want to premise it. So now I saved the best for last. The border crisis. First of all, we have open borders. I'm not dumb. I read everything. For the past 3 years, it's been, kumbaya. Everybody, Biden's administration undid whatever Trump did. They believe, and a lot of Democratic socialists believe in open borders. They believe that it's a human right to immigrate. And a lot of the people who are involved in this are NGOs, which are nonprofit organizations. A lot of them are Christian. And I think they have a good heart, but they're flooding this country with people. Now, my grandfather came over here from Russia. He came legally, and he had a job waiting for him, and they vetted him. Was he the smartest guy in the world? No. I don't know if he had a high school education, but they weren't sick, they weren't criminals, and there's no vetting right now. You have maybe anywhere between 6 to 10 million people, maybe more. How many of them are sick?
Your grandfather came over through following the correct methods.
Right. But what I'm saying is, how many of these people that came in this country, have medical issues? They might be nice people, but they got medical issues. Sure. How many are mental ill? How many are criminal? And they say, oh, well, there's no. Yeah, statistically, if you take 1 million people in Mexico or 1 million people in Ecuador and take 1 million people in the United States, I mean, is there more criminals? Well, Ecuador, they cleaned their act, but people are people. People will commit crimes. But when you have a not vetted people coming into this country, you may have a higher percentage of bad hombres. And also, there's cartels that have bad things. There may be ISIS, Taliban. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. We don't know who came in here, and there's a thing called special alien.
Prisoners from
There's special alien. They call them special alien status, which I don't know. 4 years ago, it maybe was 1 or 2 came in the United States. Supposedly, there's tens of thousands. Now, again, I'm just saying, this is crazy. You cannot have sovereignty. You cannot have what you said, Jeremy, if you don't have borders. Yeah. You don't have anything. And this is going to come to hurt us.
Even sovereignty can be taken away from you. I mean, you can go home and you can believe that you have whatever you feel like you want to believe you have, or what this country originally promised. But this stuff is not written in stone anymore. It can be taken away if we let it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so I want to show you an article here. Hang on, Jeremy. Let me get to it. Don't do me. Hang on a second. I lost it here. So our own area in New Jersey. Let me just get rid of this here. Hang on. Let me just try to open this up. So I've seen now in the hospitals, it was just walking around the streets around our area here in New Jersey, a tremendous amount of, I don't want to say they're illegals, they're immigrants, you can see them there. And you're seeing more and more, they get car accidents, there's robbery, stuff like that. So now we live in a place where we're doing a studio right now is Tom's River. So I just want to go to the this has just happened a couple days ago. So this individual here, woman knocked unconscious, kidnapped outside Tom's River grocery store. So it was an Aldi, and I'm sorry. Let's go back here. Hang on. Where is it? You gotta get me out of there, Jeremy, for a minute. I'm sorry, I lost it. I have to find it here. Here it is. Go ahead. You go back up there for me. So this individual.
That's a woman.
No. Oh. That's he's illegal. I don't know. ICE. He got arrested, but he knocked her out. Suppose he might have known or whatever. He had a knife, but he doesn't. He's illegally alien in this country. Yeah. And this is just right around our corner here. So you're going to see more and more of this. This is what's happening. And you could shut this off. You could just go back to me. And you pay the price. Now the big one right now that's going viral is the poor girl in Georgia. She was running around the track. She's a nursing student, and she got killed. They got the guy, and supposedly the guy's brother, and again, they're illegal. He was locked up a few times. Some people say, oh, he wasn't, but the brother was working at the bookstore or for the college. So you people have to understand. And I know they're really good-hearted.
Her brother or
his brother? No,
or the killer's
the killer's brother.
Oh, Jesus!
My point is that we have great hearts. United States, people in this country, we have huge hearts. We're very magnanimous. We give more money to charities than anybody else in the world. I mean, we had the Polar Swim here in Seaside Heights raised over like $2.5 million for Special Olympics. Really? Nobody in the world does what we do. and we let all these people in here, but you know what? It's not in our best interest. And what do you do about it now? First of all these people, 81 million people who voted for Biden, this is on you. This is what Trump said it was going to happen.
You did this.
You did this. This is your making. What's going on in New York City and Chicago, all of these people that are there, this is your doing. Votes have consequences. Now, hopefully I can persuade these people to, vote for Trump to get him in, because what he's promising is to have mass deportations. And they got to send a lot of these people back. Not all of them, but enough of, ones that, they have to vet them. And it's going to be a tremendous,
pain in the ass.
hand. But Barack Obama, they all did it, but it has to be done. And then they got to do something with this, with immigration. They have to have a reform. You can't have this. So what happens? Trump gets in, throws everybody back out, and then Newsom gets in the following, and then brings them all back in. I mean, it's not the way to run a world. It's not right for the immigrants either, Jeremy. How many kids are being?
But now though, I feel that we have a precedent in our recent history. With how Biden has run things, and I really think more people are against this way. They've seen the failure of it, and they're looking for something different. So coming back to this,
right.
I don't think they're going to go along with that.
But Jeremy, what cracks me up? It was so easy to see it ahead of time.
Oh,
Trump said it. We all said it.
Yeah.
I mean, how stupid. I mean, I can't. I mean, I don't understand. I don't know if they're stupid or they think it's all going to be okay. Now, this guy who killed the nursing student, suppose he's Venezuelan, and Venezuela said they're not taking any of the immigrants that left their country. They won't take them back. Right. I don't know if that's rhetoric or not. Now, if Trump gets in, they'll take them back, guaranteed.
They'll pay for shipping and everything.
Yeah, they won't be buying any oil from those guys. So I mean, so you're going to see more and more of this. And what the other thing about this immigration, what's interesting, while we're on the topic, is that there's states and specifically Texas, who is saying, "Hey, enough is enough. We're going to take the law in our own hands. We're going to do we have the right to stop an invasion." I think 18 states have joined with them, and they're sending National Guard down there. So that's another thing. You have what's unique about the United States that's different than Nazi Germany, that's different than Stalin's Russia, that's different than Mao's China, is you have states. God bless the states. Yeah. And the states are initially, you got to remember, when the Declaration of Independence was done, we only had states. And it took, 8, 9, 10 years, before the country was formed. And the states decided on having a federal government. They thought it was a good idea. So,
but what did they know?
Yeah, but my point is that the states now are saying no. So it's going to be interesting going forward. Let's just say Trump doesn't get in, and I don't know, Biden wins, and then maybe he gets out because he's sick, and then Kamala Harris is running. Can you imagine? That's going to be talk about Twilight Zone #2, and then
we just had Putin talk about what a joke it is that Biden is our president.
Right, but here's the thing. Well, we could hit that Putin. Too. So that's a good point you bring up. So now the states are going to rebel. I don't mean violent, but they're gonna do legal, and then they're gonna keep doing what they're doing. And so the states are starting to exercise their power, which is an interesting thing. So anyway, I just thought. So
when Tucker Carlson asks, all right, the leader of one of the biggest threats in the world, what he thinks about the American president, okay, and he responds by saying that it's a laugh riot.
Yeah, well,
and everybody outside of the United States consider him. It's just a joke.
And I understand that, and some people say it's an opinion, but I'll take it a step further. That to me, I respect the president.
How much more are we going to say it's an opinion, or it's just
well?
This, or
then vote him out. Then don't vote. But there's a good chance listen, Jeremy. But the other side of the coin is there's a chance that he could become president again. Yeah. Okay, just understand that, and then if he gets sick or something, Harris will be the president of the United States. Okay, Nikki Haley just said it the other day. There's going to be a woman. It's going to be me or her. My point is that if that was the case and they continue with this open border, the states are going to put a kibosh on it, and there'll be, a quasi. I don't know what kind of civil war you're going to have, but the states they're doing it already. Okay, that's number one. Let me make another point about Putin because you brought it up.
Sure.
And I read, I see this Generation Z, and I see on these people on the internet, we got to support Putin, and it's a lot of young kids, a lot of young generation, and Biden administration, which is interesting because back in the day when the Vietnam War was cooking, it was all the young people who were against it because they were getting drafted and they had to go fight there, and they thought it was wrong. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, he refused to go, and he says those people aren't hurting me, and there was protests and people went to Canada, and so like Neil Young, who now he's like Mr. Conservative, bitching about people on internet disinformation. He was biggest anti-war guy, with the sideburns.
He just wants to feel relevant now.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what I want to say to Generation Z. And all these people.
That was a big mistake. We've already run out of alphabet.
I know,
now,
yeah.
so,
Here's my thing, Jeremy. Listen to this. I want everybody. I hope somebody hears this. You guys are pushing for Biden. Biden, you want to vote for him, and all your people are saying vote for him. You want about your abortion and maybe free stuff. I don't know what else you're thinking about. But let me tell you this: what's going to happen is if Biden gets in again, they're going to prostate. They're going to push this war with Ukraine. War with Russia. Okay. More money, and money is not going to do it because they're losing soldiers. So how are we going to beat and win the war with Russia? What do you think is the next step, Jeremy? You need troops. You need troops on the ground. Where are they going to come from? And you need hundreds of thousands. So what's going to happen is you don't have enough people in service now to volunteer. Now, maybe the illegals that are coming in this country, like this guy who pushed this lady over, maybe they'll draft his ass. Maybe that's why they're letting them all in this country. I don't know. But I can tell you right now, they've had the draft. You still get a draft card now. What they'll do is they'll draft people. They'll bring the draft back, and your ass is gone. You say, I'm not going to go. Well, then they'll shoot you or put you in, in World War II, they executed a guy. His name was Private Novak or Kovac. Or you get 20 years in Fort Leavenworth. You go, I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm going to go to wherever. Well, you're breaking the law. Now, many people went to Canada, and after the Vietnam War, Carter pardoned all of them. It was one of the biggest pardons. Yeah. But my point is that I just hope these kids understand what they're voting for, and they might be voting for their death. And I asked Generation Z right now on this platform, Are you willing to fight and die for Ukraine and, democracy over there?
For what point? What's been happening
but
lately
Schumer,
anyway?
Listen, everybody says Schumer I think somebody just said today or yesterday, if we don't take care of it 20 years from now, we're going to be in trouble. In other words, Nikki Haley is pushing for it. They want more money there and eventually troops. So my point is, I don't know if you're going to keep it a small war. Maybe, so it's going to be another 20 years of grinding.
What's been going on over there lately?
Well, they're not going to listen. That's a stalemate. It's a stalemate.
I haven't heard shit in months.
No, you know why? Because you have the Israeli thing right now, and right now they're talking about a ceasefire. They're trying to get the hostages back with ceasefire. So I don't know what kind of deals are going on, but that's another hotbed. But thank God that has not metastasized. Right now, it looks like Iran is backing off, because we have we're pushing pressure.
You have to prove. You have to prove there's an issue and there's a problem. Like, people who died in Ukraine, fine, but is it continuing? Is it an ongoing threat?
Well, I don't know if it was ever a threat. Here's the thing with
that's the thing.
Here's the thing with Ukraine.
I don't think so either.
Well, I haven't heard anybody tell me other than it's for democracy. What's our interest there? And again, these forever wars. Same thing. We were in Iran and Iraq for 20 years. Okay, it's no good.
Yeah.
Vietnam.
And Zelensky, he's looking good, isn't he? Like he looks fine.
Well, listen.
He's well dressed.
I just want to give. I just want the young kids to think about what. Be careful because you guys screwed up already with the border. You're going to have to deal with a lot of these people in this country, these illegals or immigrants, and how many of them are going to, drunk driving, murders, things like that. A lot of them are, and just to simulate them. I deal with them. They don't speak English. A lot of them have third-grade educations. You're going to have to get them to schools. I mean, it's a monumental feat, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
They're going to start, if they start a draft, the one thing I'm going to call for is that they start with all the illegal immigrants first.
Well, maybe that's why they have them in here. Somebody's talked about that already.
Paddy wagons that go around and scoop them all up, and then it's like this ongoing dirty dozen where they're taking the worst possible and then putting them through a boot camp.
No, listen,
and drilling it.
Right. Well, you can
now I can see some justice. And the reason you brought all these people over to begin with is so that you don't have to send Americans out to get blown up.
Jeremy, we joke about it, but to me it seems that that's one of the reasons why they're doing it, or could do it. Because these people are going to go, and then you give them citizenship.
And look how fast they'll be running across the other way.
That's a good point.
If they know that coming over here is like a license to be shipped off to war, trust me, that border will seize up.
Yeah. Well, listen, we talked about a lot of things. I just want to recap everything because I can't. We got to end this show.
Yeah.
So but here's the deal. Yeah. Number one is that in this country, we parents have the right, should have the right. Yeah. Parents should have the right, I think, to decide on what their children are doing, what they have done to them, because they are underage, and there is a level of consent. A child, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old can't make their own decisions. No. It's stupid to think so. You're not going to let a 12-year-old, 11-year-old fly a plane or drive a car because they don't have the brain is not developed. And I can tell you, some people make the argument 21. So have said that. That's why I don't like soldiers who are. I think a soldier should be at least 21 before you send a kid to war and die. Because I don't think they have enough maturity at 18. They could rise to the occasion, but that's just, in my opinion, too young. Let them enjoy lives a little bit longer. Having said that, so the topics we talked about today are, parents' rights, and also, cops in the schools. Let's bring common sense. Put a cop in a school, all the schools. There's no, put them in churches, put them everywhere. Fund them, pay them, and you know what? In New Jersey, we talk about carry permits and all that. I don't want to have to carry a gun. I want to be able to go. If I go to church and there's a cop out there or inside, I buy him some coffee. He's got his guns on, his AR-15. He's trained.
I will thank them for their service.
Right.
Thank them for everything they do.
Right.
Our boys in blue.
Right. Now in the school, like these people on the internet. Oh, I'm afraid to send my kids to school. They could get killed. Well, not if you have a couple cops there with AR-15s and a handgun and they're ready to go. Nobody's gonna. I'm gonna tell you right now, they ain't gonna make it in there. Yeah. I would feel very comfortable, and the schools around here, they got it. So that's an easy fix. Now, whether or not then you deal with mental health. And we could make another show, but almost 60% of deaths in this country, gun deaths, are suicide. 30% are inner city, gang shit, and the other stuff is like these school shootings, a small percentage, but any is too much. Don't get me wrong on that. So we talked about this. So we're again the fix for there. It should be on a base to base. Parents should have the right to make the decision. If the child balks or there's other mitigating circumstances, bring it to a judge. Yeah, that's number one. Mm-hmm. School, put a cop in every school, every church, wherever. That's a no-brainer. It's easy. Yeah, you spend all this money. How about the money you spend on Ukraine? Put it for cops in the schools. Yeah. Second thing we talk about is euthanasia. Basically, you're knocking people off. You're killing them. Now, humanely killing them. Is it euthanasia? Is it assisted suicide? Physician assisted suicide? Let me ask you this: when the Jews were brought up in the trains to Auschwitz, and the doctors looked at him, and it was an old guy, feeble. He says, "Okay," he goes to the gas chamber. Was that assisted? Was that a physician assisted euthanasia? Assisted dying?
I think in a very screwed up sense, you could say so. Yeah.
Oh well, then there's my point. Hey, it's an easy. To me, that whole thing was evil, And we're going down a very evil.
Well, that's what I said to you earlier, if you remember.
See
I
what I'm
said
saying?
It
See?
depends upon who's right.
Well, it depends.
That's it.
Depends on who has the barrel. You know what it is? If you're
It's that point of view. It's that
right. Well, I
outlook,
tell you what,
man.
Jeremy. The point of view is this: if you're looking at the barrel of a gun, your point of view is different than the guy holding the
Holding
gun.
the barrel.
That's what Mao used to say. You know what Mao said? Power is derived at the barrel of the gun.
Yeah.
And you know what? And it's a metaphor, but it makes it's sensical.
Sure.
And that's why we in the United States tell these young people, Generation Z, do not give up your power. Do not give up your sovereignty. Do not give up your First Amendment rights. Do not give up your Second Amendment rights. Don't give up your third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Don't do it. I know you worry about guns. There's a million other ways to deal with guns violence than taking the Second Amendment away. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't take the First Amendment away. And I can tell you right now, don't have open borders. You guys are going to wind up losing it. Anyway, Jeremy, how about you tell people where to reach us and what we do and what we are, and we got to put this to bed.
Yeah. For more, well, Dr. Skobla is a foot and ankle.
Dr. Skobler. Who's Dr. Skobler?
Dr. Kachmar.
Who's Dr.
Sorry.
Skobler?
I work with a lot of people.
Yeah, you work with a lot of people.
Yeah, but Dr. Kachmar is a
board certified reconstructive.
Board certified reconstructive foot and ankle.
Listen, let's
surgeon.
stop it, Jeremy. Let's stop. Jeremy's been a little sick, so he's
Yeah.
feeling better. He had medication and everything, so that's why I said he's got to get here. He's feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
And his eyes are not the greatest anymore. So
No, they're not. They're not.
We have to get
I got to get eye surgery. So, and all of this stuff is minute.
So anyway, so Jersey Shore Foot and Leg
Foot
Center.
and Leg Center. If you want to
Put the email up, Jeremy. Put the email up.
And our email is drkachmar@icloud.com.
Yeah. Can you find it's all the way down here? It's lit up, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Go down.
there it is. I got it.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good,
right
good
there.
man. And you can get a hold of us there. I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar. I'm a board-certified reconstructive foot and ankle surgeon. I've been practicing for over 35 years. We have these shows. We have actually a Friday we'll do a scrubbing up show, which is lifeguarding. And what's that, Jeremy? What do you got there? What's all of that? Oh, is that your phone?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Sorry for that. It's a live show. I was
Yeah,
like, wait. I said,
yeah.
what is that? All right, so listen, Jeremy, say goodbye to everybody. Take
Yeah.
us out. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next week.
For more information about Dr. Michael Kachmar, please go to JerseyShoreFootAndAnkle.com.
Foot and Leg Center.
FootAndLegCenter.com.
Jersey Shore. Oh, you're killing me today.
I know. I'm
All
getting.
right, get out of here.